We're also going to be talking to Pastor Miles McPherson, giving us some words of wisdom in these current times. So we'll get his thoughts on the culture climate out there as we move on this morning.
All right.
Discussions surrounding the issue of systemic racism continue to boom across the nation, and joining us to discuss that now and share some wisdom on how we can move towards healing and reconciliation, along with overcoming some of the other difficulties we're also seeing right now, is Rock Church Senior Pastor Miles McPherson. Miles, so good to see you this morning.
How are you? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I wrangled the interview away from Paul, so.
I know he's sad, pouting, crying.
We have to share the beautiful mind of Miles McPherson when we interview you. So let's talk about some of the issues, because 2020 has just been such a challenging year on so many different levels, and I'll start with, I think, probably the lesser of two evils here, and that being the COVID situation and how people are having to really just deal with tough times economically, emotionally, dealing with fear. You have given us a great example of how to come together and put those fears into action with what we saw with the N95 masks and delivering meals to those in need. What are some other suggestions you have and you're giving to your congregants about how they should be dealing with this?
You know, I think the bigger lesson that we can learn that we won't unlearn is to really take care of each other and to look out for someone else. You know, the N95 mask that we did is just one of many ways to serve other people. And now we have another second, wave of closing things down, and who knows when this is going to end. And obviously we have to take care of ourselves, but often when we look to other people's needs and how we can serve other people, because there's always someone with less than what we have, there's always someone who's doing worse than we are. And to keep our mind and heart looking out, how can I serve and help somebody with food, help somebody with a ride, help somebody with a word of encouragement. Obviously, we can't spend a lot of time physically together, but we can call people up, email them. We're still serving meals and doing those kinds of things and serving the community. And so I think that should be our way of life from now on, and praying for each other. More people have been open to God, so keep praying. Because what we don't want to do is go through this crisis, and it's a multi-layered crisis, and waste it in the sense that we don't learn some valuable lessons about how to live more loving towards other people and then go back to what we were before. So I think let's take advantage of this prolonged crisis, even though it is very difficult and very discouraging. I mean, it's breaking my heart to see these restaurants open and close. Yeah. And hopefully they can live through that, sustain themselves through it.
Yeah. You often talk, which I love, is just love thy neighbor, which is a great rule to live by, because it steers you in the right direction when you're being steered by love, and that means respecting one another. And so when we all have different opinions, like we do with COVID and what should open and what shouldn't, and do I wear a mask, do I not wear a mask, part of that is just be respectful of the fact that we're all going to have different opinions, right?
Yeah, and I think also we should ask ourselves why we have the opinions we have. I mean, when listen, a mask is inconvenient, but when we start thinking about why things bother us, again, I was reading this book today, and the whole chapter was all about death. And it was saying, we always want to live a long life, but often when we live a long life, we have more problems, and that we really need to prepare for death, because that's coming. And part of that is really disconnecting our need to get what we want now, because we're selfish people. And I think if we can learn to look inside and ask what's really valuable in our life, what's really important to us, why are the things that I feel are important to me, why are they important? Am I being selfish? And I've been doing a lot of that myself, so I'll just speak about myself. And, the heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who can know it? We are more selfish than we think. I'm not saying we're evil all the time, but if we can take this time to ask ourselves why we want what we want, and how freeing and liberating it would be to serve other people and put other people's needs before ours, and watch what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that brings us to the other big issue that we as a nation, as individuals, are trying to deal with, and that idea of social justice and really overcoming the racial barriers that we have in our country. And you talk about looking at headlines and seeing that they're filled with racist acts done to people of color, also talking about how do we heal, what's offensive, what's not. What do you want to say on that topic and how we continue to move forward? Because you've been such a sound voice in this conversation, especially for San Diego.
Well, I wrote a book called The Third Option, Hope for a Racially Divided Nation. You can get that on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and there's tons of ideas in there. But I think the bigger issue is to understand what racism is, and there's a lot of definitions, but it's basically seeing someone as less than you for whatever reason. It could be color, it could be, in some countries, it's their tribe or their caste or their social status or their economic status, that we see someone as less than us, and then we deem them less deserving of justice or love or patience or respect. And if we could just step back and look at everybody and say that person is just as much human as I am, no matter what they have, no matter what they look like, and they deserve the same respect and love I have. At the base level, if we could start there, instead of arguing, is there racism? I've actually gotten discussions with people that say it's not really that bad. And so instead of going down those rabbit holes, because that's a whole nother discussion, do you, no matter what you look like, no matter who you are, do you deserve the same respect that I deserve? Do you deserve the same respect from me that I would want for myself? And if we could just start there and treat people based on that, and even if you don't know if you're offensive, I was on a phone call with an NFL team. They're going through the book. And one of the people on the call said, I want all you guys on the team to tell me if there's a blind spot that I have, because I write about that in the book. And if we would just be humble about it and realize that we don't know ourselves as good as we think, and all of us have flaws. All of us have blind spots. And if we humbly approach each other, realizing that we all deserve the same honor and respect as we do, and treat each other that way, it would solve a lot of problems.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to come to the conversation with an open mind and open ears, too. So, Miles, just appreciate always your words of wisdom with us on a Thursday. It's so wonderful. And, of course, everyone can check you out on Sundays.
SDRock.com. SDRock.com.
SDRock.com. Miles, always good to see you, and I hope, as my last text you indicated, I hope you're taking time for yourself, taking care.
Let's keep communicating. I'm doing good. I appreciate you caring for me.
All right. Thanks, Miles. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.